Hello, and welcome to Nevada State High School's Locating Information tutorial for all students. Use the guide bar at the bottom of the presentation to navigate through the presentation. Go ahead, click the forward button now to begin your presentation. During this tutorial, we will discuss a few strategies that will help you understand how to answer questions for locating information on Level 5. In this video, you will become familiar with the 5 different lessons in Level 5 of Locating Information for WorkKeys assessments. At the end of the presentation, you will take a short 5-question quiz on this information. Click the next slide when you are ready to continue. Here are some strategies to help you when working through questions in Lesson 1 of Level 5 in Locating Information. Remember to always read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what the question is really asking you to look for. Also, read carefully to understand the document or the graphs to assure you understand what is being given to you. Due to the WorkKeys assessments being timed, do not waste your time trying to figure out every part of the graphic. Always focus on the part that contains the information you need to answer the question so you can answer it and move on to the next one in a timely manner. One last strategy for this first lesson is to look for common links between the question and document. Sometimes there is a hint in the document or graph that will help you find the answer to your question. Click to the next slide when you are ready to continue. Let's get started on a few Lesson 1 Level 5 locating information questions. Go ahead, you try. Take a moment to read the question and answer it using the strategies that were given to you. When you think you have the correct answer, click to the next slide. All right, so how'd you do? Did you get the correct answer? Let's try it and see. The question is asking the length of time it takes to get from Las Vegas, Nevada to New York. First, locate New York's arrival time from the document that was given to you. Next, you're going to need to subtract the 3 shown in the time zones entered from the arrival time because you are crossing 3 different time zones when flying from Las Vegas to New York. Once you have subtracted the time zone number from the arrival time, you should have 1:42 p.m. as your answer. But wait, you're not done yet. The final step is to subtract your answer, 1:42 p.m., from the time it departs, which is 9:18 a.m. This final step is easier if you convert your answer to military time in order for you to subtract. Once you convert 1:42 p.m. to military time, being 13:42, you can subtract that from 9:18, and your final answer should be 4 hours and 24 minutes. Thus, C is the correct answer. Click to the next slide when you're ready for the next question. Here's another question. Go ahead and try it. Take a moment, read the question, and answer it using the strategies that we've discussed. Remember, read the question carefully and make sure you understand what information you're looking for. Take your time, and when you're ready, click to the next slide. So what did your answer come out to be? Let's solve it together and see if your answer was correct. The question is asking for the number of blocks from one destination to another. First, locate 4th South and 3rd West. Then locate 3rd North and 3rd East. Start at the 4th South, 3rd West point and count the number of blocks until you reach 3rd North and 3rd East. Keep in mind that there are different routes you can take to get to the second destination. You can start by going up and then right, or you can start by going right and then up, but you cannot go straight across. Once you have reached the second location, you should have counted 13 blocks, making B the correct answer. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Here are some strategies to help you when working through questions in Lesson 2 for Level 5 in locating information. Remember to always read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what the question is asking you to look for. Always scan the map to locate the needed information. Choose your data carefully to be sure you are answering the question by using the correct data. Try to look for small differences in words and phrases because they can be confusing. Always check for special notes and conditions that may be hints to helping you solve the question. When you're ready for some practice, click to the next slide. Here are strategies to help you when working through questions in Lesson 2 of Level 5 for locating information. Remember to always read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what the question is asking you to look for. Always scan the map to locate the needed information. Choose your data carefully and assure you you are answering the question by using the correct data. Try to look for small differences in words and phrases because it can be confusing. Always check for special notes and conditions that may be hints to helping you solve the question. Click to the next slide when you're ready for some practice. Let's try a question. Go ahead, take a moment and read the question, then answer it using the strategies that were just given to you. Remember, read the question carefully and make sure you understand what information you're looking for. When you think you have the correct answer, click to the next slide. All right, let's see how you did. This question is asking for the location of the Baton Rouge Airport. Locate this information on the map given to you, and let's see if you got the correct answer. Determine which highway or interstate is nearest to the airport from the options listed in the question. The key will show you how to identify the interstates on the map. Is the airport north or east of the city? Because it is in the center top part of the page, north is the correct answer. Determine the one that best meets the criteria from the answers provided, and you should have come up with north of the city off the I-110, making C your correct answer. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Let's move on to another question. You try first. Take a moment, read the question, and answer it using all of the strategies we've been discussing. Remember to read the question carefully and make sure you understand exactly what information you're looking for. Click to the next slide when you think you have the right answer. This question is asking for the prefixes of the Fort Snelling community. Let's see if your answer is correct. First, locate on the telephone prefix list and look for Fort Snelling community. Make sure you watch for name variations. Once you have found Fort Snelling on the telephone prefix list, the different codes will be next to it. You should have found 4 codes in all. There are 2 different Fort Snelling entries in this list, one with a slightly different spelling that would be easy to overlook. Always be thorough as you look for information to ensure you're not missing anything. Once you've found all 4 of the codes, the correct answer would have been B. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Here are some strategies to help you when working through questions in Lesson 3 of Level 5 in locating information. Remember to always read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what the question is asking you to look for. Try to recognize the relationships among the graphics. This can help you find the information faster. Be careful. The graphs may show some information in different ways, and they may show related groups of information as well. Make sure to read the titles and other labels to find what you need to answer each question. When you're ready for some practice, click to the next slide. Go ahead, give this question a try. Take a moment, read the question, and answer it using the strategies that we've discussed. Remember to read the question carefully and make sure you understand what information you're looking for. When you think you have the right answer, click to the next slide. This question is asking for the percentage of high school graduates. Let's see if your answer is correct. First, look at the education graph and take the percentage of high school graduates. That's easy. Then you will need to add to that the percentage from the some college/graduate category. College students have also graduated from high school. That would have been an easy thing to overlook. Remember, the information in titles will sometimes imply certain things, so read all the information clearly and carefully. Now that you've determined which categories count for high school graduates, add those percentages together. You should end up with 88%, making D your correct answer. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Now let's try this question. Take a moment, read the question, and answer it using all of the strategies that were given to you. Remember again, read the question carefully and make sure you understand all of the information you're looking for. Click to the next slide when you feel you have the correct answer. This question is asking for the chemical and quarter that has the largest difference between production volume and cost, where cost is the lowest variable. Let's see if your answer is correct. First, from the answer choices given, determine which ones have the highest and lowest cost. The choices given are for the third and fourth quarters for both chemicals. By looking at the graph, you can see that hydrochloric acid has a much higher cost than chlorine, and the production in both quarters are under 6,000 for hydrochloric acid, but over 6,000 for chlorine. This means our answer will be chlorine in the third or fourth quarter. Hydrochloric acid is the opposite of what we're looking for. When comparing the chlorine production, they're very close. 7,000 versus roughly 6,500. The third quarter is only slightly higher. The cost, however, is not as close. 0.4 versus 0.49, almost 0.5. The fourth quarter is much lower than the third. This means that the fourth quarter will have a bigger difference between production and cost than the third quarter, which is what we needed to find. B is the correct answer. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Here are some strategies to help you when working through questions in Lesson 4 of Level 5 in locating information. Again, remember to always read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what the question is asking you to look for. Try extracting data using or comparing information from two places of the question and information part. Always analyze the data to come to the conclusion. Compare or combine the parts to get an answer. This lesson can be a bit more challenging, so break down the problem into pieces to help you solve it. Let's do some practice. Click to the next slide when you're ready. Here's our first question. Take a moment to read it and then answer it using the strategies we just discussed. Remember again, read the question carefully and make sure you understand the information you're looking for. When you think you have the correct answer, click to the next slide. This question is asking for the plants that have received the 50% reward or greater. Let's see how you did. First, review the reward levels key and figure out the review levels for each plant. Look at the graph and find the plants that got 4 or more items completed. See how many plants had at least 2 months over the reward level. If you look at plant 1, both May and August meet this criteria. Now look at plant 3. Both May and October meet this criteria. Your correct answer should have been D. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Here's another question. Again, take a moment, read the question, and answer it using the strategies that were given to you. When you think you have the right answer, click to the next slide. This question is asking for changes you need to make to Wednesday's shipment. Let's see how you did. First, find the menu for Wednesday and look at what you need for each menu item according to the bulk ingredients list. Make your own list of needed items from this bulk ingredients list for Wednesday. Now compare your list of bulk items needed to the shipping list. Figure out what items you are missing or perhaps over on. After doing this, you should be short a box of vegetables for Wednesday's menu items. The correct answer is B. Click to the next slide when you are ready to continue. These are the final strategies that will help you when working through questions in Lesson 5 of Level 5 in locating information. Again, as always, remember, read the question carefully and make sure you understand what the question is asking you to look for. Try to analyze the data and identify trends. This can be shown as things changing over time, comparing one group to another, or identifying which item in a group is greater or less than the others. Let's do some practice questions. Click to the next slide when you're ready. Here's the first question. Take a moment to read it and answer it using the strategies that were given to you. Remember to be careful as you read the question and make sure you understand what information you're looking for. When you think you have the correct answer, click to the next slide. This question is asking for the correct statement according to the bar graphs that are provided to you. Read each statement given to you and compare them to the graph to see if the statement is true or false. The first statement is false because when you compare CD rates for the 6-month graph to the 5-year graph, the longer term or 5-year rates are higher. Thus, shorter deposit lengths do not give you higher interest rates. The second statement is true because in each graph, the rate for this week is higher than the rate for 1 year ago. Thus, rates are higher this year than last year for all 4 graphs. The third statement is false because the rates are the same for this week and last week in all graphs except for the 5-year graph, which is actually lower, not higher. The last statement is also false because the interest rate in 5 years cannot be predicted based on the data presented, so we do not know if the interest rates will be higher or lower in 5 years. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. Let's try one more question. Take a moment to read it, analyze it, and when you think you have the correct answer, click to the next slide. This question is asking for the city that has the most variation in temperature. In order to find the answer to this, you'll need to look at all of the cities and determine the variance in temperature for them. Look for the lowest degree and the highest degree for each city, then subtract the two to get the temperature variation. Once you have subtracted and seen the variation of temperatures, you will see that Albany has the highest degree of variation, 50 degrees. This makes the correct answer B. Click to the next slide when you're ready to continue. We have now completed the Locating Information tutorial with strategies and lessons for achieving gold. You have reviewed sample questions to all levels in Level 5, Strategies for Gold, and solutions to questions on Level 5. Remember to use these strategies when completing your WorkKeys assessment. Now let's take a short 5-question quiz on your understanding of the tutorial. Click to the next slide when you're ready. Let's go through a couple of things before you begin your quiz. After answering each question, click Next. After answering all of the questions, click the Submit All button. You'll have 2 opportunities to take this quiz. Take your time and read each question carefully. Click to the next slide when you are ready to begin.